So I'm George, I'm a security consultant with Pentest People. I've been here for about 10 months now. I perform mainly infrastructure testing, and I came from a developer background, having studied mathematics actually at university. So pen testing is a simulated cyber attack that we've been authorised to perform against a company's computer systems, with the eventual goal of helping them to improve their security on that computer system by pretending that we're hackers and trying to identify areas in which an attacker would be able to exploit and compromise those systems. So pen testing is unique in that we get to exploit vulnerabilities that we find, as opposed to a vulnerability assessment where we're just looking at identifying and categorizing vulnerabilities. We can actually see where that vulnerability or weakness may lead and may allow us to progress in terms of level of access on computer systems. So we can actually discover new ways in which computer systems can be compromised by looking at the configuration of a system rather than just looking at issues that have already been identified in the past and running an automated tool to detect those. So no two pen tests are really the same. There's such a variety of services out there and infrastructure that you can't really apply the same methodology each time, so it really relies on your technical skills and your knowledge as to what processes you follow in order to perform a pen test. So there are some fundamentals that are generally the same in every test. We're looking to understand what's in front of us essentially, so we do that through port scanning and through service enumeration. So we can identify what services exactly are running to then go through into more manual testing later on those specific services and their configurations. So there's a number of traits that make a good pen tester. You obviously need to have a drive for learning. That's kind of part and parcel of the job. You've got to be constantly learning. The rate of change in this industry is really high, so you have to be constantly keeping up to date with the new vulnerabilities that come out and how they can affect the systems that you see on a daily basis. So other traits that a good pen tester would have is that they're a good communicator. So a lot of the work that we do is very technical and not a lot of people understand it. So the important stuff that gets brought out of that testing is how you communicate it to a client. So how do they understand that their infrastructure is vulnerable without going into the nitty-gritty detail that we do testing it. So being a good communicator, being driven, like I said, and also having humility, knowing that you don't know everything and that there's other people who potentially do, and being able to learn from other people and being resourceful and learning from the internet, because there's an insane number of resources out there that can teach you about all of this for free. So a vulnerability assessment is really normally automated, and it just looks to identify vulnerabilities that have been found already. So there's scripts essentially that a computer can check for and really easily determine if something's vulnerable or not, whereas a penetration test is looking to take that a step further and not only identify vulnerabilities and misconfigurations, but then exploit them and see what that misconfiguration can give you. And there's generally some sort of progress in terms of level of access there with a penetration test as opposed to a vulnerability assessment. So there are three main streams of assessment. The three streams are internal infrastructure, external infrastructure, and web application. So a vulnerability in a computer system is essentially a weakness that lessens the overall security of that computer system that an attacker might be able to exploit in order to disrupt the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of a computer system. So the answer to that is no. I was actually really interested in maths growing up and physics and science. So in high school I thought I was going to be a physicist or a chemist, and then realised that maths was actually what I was better at. So then went to university and did that, and then kind of realised at the end of university that maths wasn't really for me. I did the Cyber First bursary scheme, and I got to have a little play around with pen testing and some other topics in cybersecurity and really fell in love with it. And that was really what started my passion for pen testing. So I've kind of come in a roundabout route to it. I don't really have any idea. I know that I think offensive cyber is probably what I'm most interested in. I can definitely see myself doing that for the foreseeable future, but what I'm doing specifically, I don't know. So as someone who's come into pen testing having not done the formal education in it, like computer science at high school or even at university or A-levels, my recommendation would be to learn the basics, learn the concepts of networking really well, make sure you understand them and security in general. That'll really help you and provide a really good foundation for then learning the more advanced concepts and the cool stuff, playing around with Metasploit and actually exploiting machines. Being able to do the basics really well will set you up and actually allow you to learn a little bit faster when you come on to that more advanced stuff. So now you've met the pen tester, I hope it was insightful.